Hey everybody, and welcome to today's deep dive.
It's gonna be a fun one.
You know, we're gonna be looking at some really useful English phrases.
Absolutely.
Ones you can use in everyday situations like when you're driving or giving directions.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry, if you're new to English, we're gonna keep things nice and simple.
For sure.
So you can just relax, have fun, and learn as we go.
You got it.
All right, let's get started with a question. Let's say you're in a bit of a hurry.
Okay.
Your taxi driver is moving a little too slowly. How can you tell them to speed up?
One way to do that is to say, step on it.
Step on it.
Yeah, it's like saying, go faster. But in a more, casual and fun way.
I love that. Step on it.
Yeah.
It's got that energy like you really want to get moving.
Exactly.
Now, would you use this phrase with anyone, or is it best for certain situations?
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely a casual phrase.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't use it with someone you don't know very well
Right.
or in a formal setting.
Okay.
It's perfect for chatting with friends or family, or maybe even in a taxi if you're feeling comfortable with the driver.
Makes sense. It's all about knowing your audience, right?
Exactly.
Okay, here's another scenario. Imagine you're in the car and the driver's about to make a wrong turn.
Uh-oh.
How can you quickly tell them to turn in the right direction?
Well, in English, we use the phrase make a when we're giving directions.
Okay.
So you could say make a left or make a right.
Make a left, got it.
Yeah,
So if the driver's about to turn left when you need to go right, you could say, no, make a right.
that's exactly right.
Perfect. This is really helpful.
Good.
All right, let's say something surprising happens on your drive
Okay.
and you want to express your disbelief.
Sure.
Maybe someone cuts you off or your friend tells you they want to drive through a puddle.
Oh, gosh.
What's a phrase you could use to show you're shocked or you disagree?
Well, a common phrase for that is, are you nuts?
Are you nuts?
Yeah.
Haha, love that one.
It's a way of saying, are you crazy?
Right.
Or that's a bad idea, but in a more, lighthearted way.
It's got that mix of surprise and humor,
Yeah.
but I imagine it's important to use it with the right tone of voice.
No, absolutely. You're right. It all comes down to how you say it.
Okay.
If you say it with a smile and a playful tone, it can be funny.
Right.
But if you shout it angrily, well, it could sound pretty rude.
Yeah, so context and tone are key.
Exactly.
Good reminder for all of these phrases, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, last one for this section. Let's say you're stuck in traffic and you know a shortcut through a side street.
Oh,
How can you suggest taking this alternate route to your driver?
well, you could say something like, let's take a side street.
Let's take a side street.
Or you could be more specific
Okay.
and actually say, let's take street name.
Oh, okay, so you could say, let's take Elm Street, if that was the side street.
Exactly.
Got it. I can already picture myself saying, let's take a side street,
Yeah.
feeling like I outsmarted the traffic.
Yeah, like you have a secret weapon.
Like I have a secret weapon.
I love it.
Awesome.
And it's a simple and effective way to suggest a different route.
Yeah, it gets the point across.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, we've covered some great phrases for getting somewhere quickly, giving directions, expressing surprise, even finding a shortcut. But what's really fascinating is that these phrases aren't just limited to driving.
Tell me more.
You mean we can use them in other situations too?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Give me an example.
Well, think about it. Step on it. Isn't just about physical speed.
Okay.
It's about urging someone to move faster in any sense.
Oh, I see.
Like maybe you're working on a project together.
Right.
And the deadline is approaching. You could say to your teammates, step on it,
Yeah.
to encourage them to pick up the pace.
Wow, I see what you mean. It's like a metaphorical gas pedal pushing things forward.
Exactly.
That opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
And what about make a left or make a right?
Yeah.
Could we use those outside of driving too?
Oh, of course. Think of it this way. Make is about making a choice or a change in direction. Imagine you're at a crossroads in your life.
Right.
Trying to decide between two different paths. You could say to yourself, okay, time to make a left and try something new.
That's a great analogy. It's like we're navigating through life using these everyday phrases.
I like that.
And are you nuts? I bet that one comes in handy in all sorts of situations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anytime you encounter something unbelievable or a decision that seems crazy, are you nuts? It's such a natural reaction.
Right.
Just remember, keep it lighthearted, keep it playful.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using it with someone you don't know very well.
Right, because tone is everything.
It is.
Okay, what about, let's take a side street. How could we use that metaphorically?
Well, think about those times when you need to find a creative solution.
Okay.
To think outside the box.
Yeah.
Instead of following the usual path, you might say, let's take a side street and explore a different approach.
I see.
It's about being resourceful.
Yeah.
Finding those alternative ways to achieve your goals.
I'm loving this. It's like these simple phrases are packed with all these hidden meanings.
I know.
In applications, we've gone from driving instructions to life lessons.
Exactly.
And it's amazing? Even though these phrases are so common and easy to understand,
Yeah.
they can add so much color and personality to our language.
Absolutely. They make our conversations more engaging.
Yes.
And more relatable. It's like sprinkling a little bit of spice into your English.
Ooh, I love that analogy. So we've learned these phrases. We have explored their deeper meanings, but how can we actually start using them in our own lives? Any tips?
Well, the best way to learn a language is to practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice, practice.
You got it. And don't be afraid to try out these phrases in real conversations.
Even if we make mistakes.
Especially if you make mistakes. That's how we learn, and that's how we improve.
I like the way you think. So we should embrace those little stumbles.
Exactly.
And keep talking.
Keep going.
And what about watching movies or TV shows? Can that help too?
Oh, absolutely. Pay attention to how native speakers use these phrases in different contexts.
Yeah.
It's like a free language lesson right there on your screen.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to start listening for these phrases everywhere now.
Do it.
It's like a fun challenge, like a scavenger hunt for everyday English.
I'd love it.
And you know what? I have a challenge for our listeners too.
Oh, fun. I love challenges.
What is it?
Think about your own native language. What are some common phrases or sayings that you use when you're driving or giving directions? Now, try to translate those phrases into English. It might sound funny. It might sound a little strange, but that's part of the fun.
That's the best part.
Right.
It's a fantastic way to explore the connections between languages and cultures.
Yeah.
And who knows, you might even come up with some brand new English expressions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I love about language learning. It's a journey of discovery, full of surprises,
Yes.
unexpected detours.
For sure. And remember, the most important thing is to enjoy the ride.
Ooh, I like that. Don't be afraid to experiment, have fun, and keep learning.
Well said. We've covered so much ground today, from simple phrases to deeper meanings and practical tips for using them in everyday life. I feel like I've leveled up my English skills.
Awesome. And that's what the deep dive is all about.
That's what it's all about.
We hope this whole deep dive has given you the confidence and the tools to take your English to the next level.
And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one teaching others these cool phrases. So until next time, keep those English engines running.
You got it. We've covered some great phrases for when you want to get somewhere quickly.
Right.
Give directions, express surprise, or even find a shortcut. But what's really fascinating is that these phrases aren't just limited to driving.
Oh, that's interesting. You mean we can use them in other situations too?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Give me an example.
Okay, well, think about it. Step on it. Isn't just about physical speed.
Okay.
It's about urging someone to move faster in any sense.
I see.
Like maybe you're working on a project together and the deadline is approaching. You could say to your teammate, step on it.
Okay.
Encourage them to pick up the pace.
Wow, I see what you mean. It's like a metaphorical gas pedal.
Exactly.
Pushing things forward, that opens up a lot of possibilities.
It does.
And what about make a left or make a right? Can we use those outside of driving too?
Oh, of course. Think of it this way. Make is about making a choice.
Okay.
Or a change in direction.
Right.
Imagine you're at a crossroads in your life. Trying to decide between two different paths. You could say to yourself, okay, time to make a left and try something new.
That's a great analogy. It's like we're navigating through life using these everyday phrases.
I like that.
And are you nuts? I bet that one comes in handy in all sorts of situations.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you encounter something unbelievable or a decision that seems crazy, are you nuts, is such a natural reaction. Just remember.
Yeah.
Keep it lighthearted. Keep it playful. Especially if you're using it with someone you don't know very well.
Right. Because tone is everything.
Exactly.
Okay, what about, let's take a side street. How could we use that metaphorically?
Well, think about those times when you need to find like a creative solution, to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Instead of following the usual path, you might say, let's take a side street.
Okay.
And explore a different approach. It's about being resourceful.
Right.
Finding those alternative ways to achieve your goals.
I'm loving this. It's like these simple phrases are packed with all these hidden meanings and applications. We've gone from driving instructions to life lessons.
That's right.
And you know what's amazing? Even though these phrases are so common
Yeah.
and easy to understand, they can add so much color and personality to our language.
Absolutely. They make our conversations so much more engaging.
Yes.
More relatable. It's like sprinkling a little bit of spice into your English.
Ooh, I love that analogy.
Do I?
So we've learned these phrases.
Yes.
We've explored their deeper meanings.
Uh,
But how can we actually start using them in our own lives?
That's the question.
Any tips?
Well, the best way to learn a language is to practice. Practice.
Practice.
Don't be afraid to try out these phrases in real conversations.
Even if we make mistakes.
Especially if you make mistakes.
Okay.
That's how we learn, and that's how we improve.
I like the way you think. So we should embrace those little stumbles.
Yeah.
And keep talking.
Keep going.
And what about watching movies or TV shows? Can that help too?
Oh, absolutely. Pay attention to how native speakers use these phrases in different contexts. It's like a free language lesson right there on your screen.
That's a great idea. I'm going to start listening for these phrases everywhere now.
You should.
It's like a fun challenge, like a scavenger hunt for everyday English.
I love it.
And you know what? I have a challenge for our listeners too.
Oh, fun. I love challenges. What is it?
Think about your own native language.
Okay.
What are some common phrases or sayings that you use when you're driving or giving directions? Now try to translate those phrases into English.
Okay.
It might sound funny, it might sound a little strange, but that's part of the fun.
That's the best part. It's a fantastic way to explore the connections between languages and cultures.
Yeah.
And who knows, you might even come up with some brand new English expressions.
Exactly. That's what I love about language learning. It's a journey of discovery full of surprises and unexpected detours.
For sure. And remember, the most important thing is to enjoy the ride. Don't be afraid to experiment, have fun, and keep learning.
Well said. We've covered so much ground today, from simple phrases to deeper meanings and practical tips for using them in everyday life. I feel like I've leveled up my English skills.
Awesome. And that's what the deep dive is all about.
That's what it's all about.
We hope this whole deep dive has given you the confidence and the tools to take your English to the next level.
And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one teaching others these cool phrases.
I hope so.
So until next time, keep those English engines running.
You got.
And, learning a language is kind of like a road trip, isn't it?
It is. It's about enjoying the journey
Yeah.
and exploring all those new destinations.
And sometimes those most scenic routes
Oh,
are
yeah.
the ones you discover totally by accident.
You never know what you're going to find.
That's so true. So to all our listeners out there, whether you're just starting your English journey or you're a seasoned traveler, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into everyday English.
Me too. We've covered some really useful phrases,
Yeah, we have.
explored their hidden meanings, and even shared some tips for putting them into practice.
So what are you waiting for? Get out there and start using these phrases in your daily life.
Absolutely, make them your own.
Yeah,
Have fun with them and just watch your English fluency soar.
well said. Until next time, happy learning and safe travels.
Bye, everyone.
All right, so today we're diving deep into weddings.
That's right, and we're going to try to keep it easy to understand for anyone new to English.
So, if you're listening and you're thinking about getting married someday, this one's for you.
Definitely, we'll break it all down.
Okay, let's get started. First things first. Who are all these people at a wedding?
Okay, well, you got to start with the groom.
Groom.
That's the man who's getting married.
Okay,
And then, of course, the bride, the woman getting married.
got it. Like the king and queen of the day.
You got it.
Perfect. So we've got a king and queen. Who else is important?
Well, you usually see the bridesmaids.
Ah, bridesmaids. I've heard of those.
They're like the bride's closest friends.
Oh, got it. Yeah, like a team, They help her get ready.
So they're like her support system.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have those super cute kids, too.
Oh, yeah. Like the little ones. What are their titles?
The flower girl.
Flower girl, of course.
She walks down the aisle that's a pathway and scatters flower petals.
Oh, cute. Right. And the ring bearer carries the rings.
Oh. And is he usually a little boy?
Yeah, traditionally it's a boy. He has like a special pillow for the rings.
Okay, so groom, bride, bridesmaids, flower girl, ring bearer. Am I missing anyone?
Yeah, two more really important people. The best man and the maid of honor.
Oh, right. They stand up there with the bride and groom.
Exactly, like the leaders of the friend groups.
Okay.
But they also have a really important job.
Which is?
They sign the marriage license.
Whoa, serious stuff.
Very serious. It makes it all official.
So, without their signatures, it's not a real marriage.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like their word that everything's legit.
Wow. I didn't realize how much responsibility they had.
Right. And here's something interesting. Sometimes that marriage license is signed right there during the ceremony.
Okay, that makes sense.
But in some places, the couple might actually get legally married beforehand.
What? So they're already married before the big wedding?
Exactly.
Huh. I never knew that.
Yeah, and then the church wedding is more like a celebration.
Interesting. So two different ways of doing it.
Right.
I guess it depends on where you live.
Definitely, yeah. Every culture has its own way of doing things.
That's so cool. Okay, you mentioned the aisle earlier, where the flower girl walks down.
Yes.
Is that just like a regular pathway, or is there something special about it?
Well, it's more than just a pathway, you know?
What do you mean?
Like, it's symbolic.
Symbolic.
Yeah, like the bride is leaving her old life behind and starting this new one.
Wow. Deep.
Right. And everyone's watching her, so it's a big moment.
I bet. It's got to be a little nerve-wracking.
Oh, definitely.
Our source material actually had this funny saying about when something finally happens after a long wait.
What is it?
And they use a wedding example, too.
Oh, you mean it's about time?
Yes. They talked about this guy who lived with his parents for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And then he finally got married.
That's a long time.
I know, right? Can you imagine everyone is saying, it's about time?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like a funny way of saying, finally.
Yeah, exactly.
And also like you're happy for them.
Definitely, yeah. Like, it's been a long time coming, but you're glad it finally happened.
It's about time. I'm going to have to remember that one.
It's a good one.
Okay, so we talked about how the big church wedding isn't always the legal marriage.
Right.
So what does that mean for the couple? Like, is one more important than the other?
It really depends on the culture, you know?
What do you mean?
Like, in some cultures, the religious ceremony is super important.
Okay.
It's about their promise to God, you know? But in other places, the legal part is more important.
I see. So it's more about making it official.
Yeah. And the religious ceremony is more for the celebration.
Got it. So different ways of making it official and then different ways of celebrating.
Exactly.
Wow. I had no idea.
It's fascinating, right? All the different ways people get married.
So what happens next? After the adieus, do they just go home?
Oh, no. The party's just getting started.
Really?
Yeah, it's time for the reception.
Oh, the reception. I can't wait to hear all about that.
That's where the fun really begins. Music, dancing, food.
Okay, tell me more.
Let's dive into the reception.
So the adieus are done, rings are on fingers. What happens next?
Well, then it's time for the reception.
Okay, the reception. So like, what exactly is a reception?
Basically, it's the big party after the ceremony.
Gotcha. So like music and dancing and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Food, drinks, all that good stuff. It's a chance for everyone to like celebrate the new couple.
Okay, I see. So like, do people give gifts at the reception or is that earlier?
That's a good question. It really depends on the culture. Sometimes gifts are given before the wedding.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of times people bring gifts to the reception, yeah.
Got it. And are the gifts like anything goes?
Yeah.
Or is there like a system?
Well, some couples have a wedding registry.
Wedding registry. What's that?
It's basically a list of things the couple wants.
Oh, so like you can go to a store and pick something off their list.
Yeah, exactly. That way you know you're getting them something they actually need and want. But some people just give money too.
Right. That makes sense. Like help them start their new life together.
Exactly.
So, okay, we've got food, gifts. What about dancing?
Oh, yeah. There's always dancing at a reception.
What about that, the first dance? I've heard of that. Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah, the first dance is a big deal. That's when the couple dances together for the first time as, like, husband and wife.
Oh, that's sweet. What kind of music do they usually play?
It really depends on the couple, you know? Sometimes it's a slow song, sometimes it's something more upbeat.
I bet some people even choreograph a whole routine.
Oh, yeah. Some people go all out.
That's impressive.
But sometimes it's just about, like, holding each other close and enjoying the moment.
I can see why that would be special.
For sure.
So we've got food, gifts, dancing. What else happens at the reception? Are there any, like, traditions?
Yeah, a lot of times there were speeches.
Oh, yeah. Like toasts and stuff?
Exactly.
Who usually gives the speeches?
Usually it's close friends or family members. They share stories about the couple, offer advice, wish them well for the future, you know.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it can get pretty emotional.
I bet. And then, of course, there's the cake.
Oh, yeah, gotta have cake.
Is there, like, a special meaning behind the wedding cake?
You know there is.
Tell me.
When the couple cuts the cake together, it symbolizes their first act of unity as husband and wife.
Wow, I never knew that. I thought it was just about dessert.
Haha. Well, that too, of course.
So wait, before we move on, can we go back to those vows for a second?
Sure.
I know they happened during the ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
but like, What exactly are they?
Okay, so vows are basically the promises the couple makes to each other.
Right. Oh,
It's the heart of the ceremony.
Yeah.
They can be traditional, like to love and cherish.
Right.
Or they can be more personal, something the couple writes themselves.
Oh, that's really sweet.
It's a really special moment. It's like their declaration of love and commitment.
Okay, now I'm really starting to get it.
Good. Remember earlier when we talked about how different cultures have different ways of, like, doing marriage?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same with wedding traditions.
Oh, really? Like what kind of traditions?
Well, for example, in some cultures, there's a tradition of literally tying the knot.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
They might tie the couple's hands together with a ribbon or something.
That's so cool. What does it mean?
It symbolizes the couple's bond, Like, they're tied together now.
I love that.
It's a nice visual.
Definitely. Okay. Think back to those bridesmaids we were talking about.
Okay.
What happens to them at the end of the reception? Do they just go home? So those bridesmaids, what happens to them at the end? Any spiral traditions?
Well, there's often this thing called the bouquet toss.
The bouquet toss. I've heard of that.
Yeah, the bride throws her bouquet to all the single women.
And what, they try to catch it?
Exactly. And the one who catches it is, like, supposedly the next to get married.
Oh, fun. I like that one. So, okay, we've talked about the ceremony, the reception, all the key people, but I'm sure there are still some wedding words that would go right over my head.
Yeah, probably. There are definitely some, like, fancy wedding terms.
Yeah, like words that make you feel like you need a dictionary.
Ha ha ha, aha. Right.
But don't worry, we're going to break them down for you.
Okay, good. I'm ready to learn.
All right, so first up, how about nuptials?
Nuptials. That sounds intense.
I know, right? It's kind of a fancy way to say wedding ceremony.
No, really. So, like, instead of saying they had a beautiful wedding, you could say they had beautiful nuptials.
Exactly.
Got it. Nuptials equals wedding ceremony.
Perfect.
Okay, what else? What other tricky words are out there?
We talked about vows earlier, but those are worth diving into a little deeper.
Okay, vows. What about that?
They're more than just words,
What do you mean?
Like, they're the promises the couple is making to each other.
Yeah.
They're like the foundation of the marriage.
That's a good way to put it. It's a big deal. And, sometimes couples write their own vows.
Really?
That's cool.
Yeah, it makes it even more personal.
I like that. Okay, here's a word I've definitely heard before. Wedding crasher.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not actually sure what it means.
So a wedding crasher is someone who shows up to a wedding uninvited.
Oh.
Yeah, sometimes it's meant to be funny, like a prank.
Right.
But, can also be seen as kind of rude.
Yeah, I bet the bride and groom wouldn't be too happy about that.
Probably not. Okay, let's move on to a happier word. Honeymoon?
Honeymoon. Everyone loves a honeymoon.
I know, right? So the honeymoon is basically a trip the couple takes after the wedding.
Okay, so like a vacation.
Yeah, it's a chance to relax, celebrate, and just enjoy some alone time together.
Aw, that's nice. Little escape after all the wedding craziness.
Exactly.
Now, what if a couple decides to skip the whole big wedding thing? Is there a word for that? Like when they just run off and get married?
You mean elope?
Elope, yes, that's the word. So, to elope means to get married secretly.
Got it.
Without telling family or friends beforehand.
Why would people do that?
Sometimes they just want a small, intimate ceremony. Or maybe they're looking for more of an adventure,
I see. Like a romantic escape.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, last word, and then I think I'll officially be a wedding vocabulary expert.
Get me with it.
Tie the knot. I've heard people say that, but what does it actually mean?
Tie the knot just means to get married.
Oh, so like a casual way of saying it?
Yep. It's an idiom. Instead of saying they got married, you can say they tied the knot.
I love it. Okay, I feel like I can understand any wedding conversation now.
That's awesome.
I'm ready for the next wedding invite.
Me too.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of weddings. We've gone over all the important people and even learned some fancy new words.
Hopefully it's all a little clearer now.
Yeah, I think so.
No matter where you're from or how you choose to celebrate, weddings are all about love, and that's something we can all appreciate.
So true. Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time. Let's talk about how to actually do that. Like, what are some of the most practical things that we can do to prepare and feel ready to impress?
All right. Well, first off, I think it's important to remember that the interview process is really a two-way street.
Right.
You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you.
Yeah.
So you want to go in, feeling prepared, not just to answer their questions, but also to ask your own and really get a sense of whether the company is a good fit for you.
That's such a good point. I think a lot of times we focus so much on like impressing them that we forget that we also need to be impressed.
Exactly.
So how do we do that? How do we go in there and not just like answer their questions, but also get a sense of if it's the right place for us?
Well, I think one of the best things you can do is to really do your research on the company beforehand.
Yeah.
Go beyond just reading their website.
Okay.
Look at their social media, see what kind of things they're posting about.
Yeah.
Read any recent news articles or press releases about them.
Okay.
Really trying to get a sense of their culture and their values.
So like if you see on social media that the CEO is really into like sustainability, that might be something you can bring up in the interview to show that you've done your research.
Exactly. Or maybe you read an article about a new product they're launching. You can ask them about that and show that you're interested in what they're doing.
Yeah, I love that. It's all about showing that you're engaged and that you've gone the extra mile.
Exactly. Because they're probably interviewing a lot of candidates.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so the more you can do to set yourself apart, the better.
So we've done our research. We know all about the company. What's next?
Well, next you want to think about your skills and experience and how they align with the specific role that you're interviewing for.
Okay.
Go through the job description carefully and highlight the key skills and qualifications that they're looking for.
Okay.
And then think about specific examples from your past experience that demonstrate those skills.
So it's not just about like listing your skills on your resume. It's about being able to tell stories about how you've used those skills in real life situations.
Exactly. And this is where the STAR method comes in handy.
Oh, the STAR method. I've heard of this.
Yeah. Have you used it before?
I haven't, but I've definitely heard people talk about it.
Okay. Well, it's a really helpful framework for structuring your answers to interview questions in a way that's clear, concise, and memorable.
Okay. Tell me more. I'm all ears.
So STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. And basically, when you're answering an interview question, you want to start by describing the situation or the context of the example you're going to give.
Okay, so like setting the scene.
Exactly. Then you want to describe the task that you were responsible for.
Right.
The action that you took to complete that task, and then the results that you achieved.
So can you give me an example of how this would work in practice?
Yeah, sure. So let's say the interviewer asks you about a time that you had to deal with a difficult customer.
Okay, a classic.
Using the STAR method, you could start by describing the situation, right? So maybe you say, well, when I was working as a customer service representative at X company, I had a customer who was very upset because their order had been delayed.
Okay.
Then you would describe the task. So you might say, my task was to resolve the customer's issue and make sure that they were satisfied.
Got it.
Then you would describe the action that you took. So maybe you say, I started by actively listening to the customer and empathizing with their frustration. I then apologized for the delay and explained what had happened, and then I offered them a discount on their next order as a way to compensate for the inconvenience.
Okay.
And then finally, you would describe the result. So you might say something like, the customer was very happy with the way I handled the situation, and they ended up placing another order with us that same day.
That's awesome. So you're not just saying, I'm really good at handling difficult customers. You're actually telling a story that proves it.
Exactly. And stories are much more memorable than just statements.
Yeah, they're more engaging. I love it.
So the STAR method is a really great tool to use when you're preparing for your interview, to help you come up with those stories that are going to really showcase your skills and experience.
I'm definitely going to be using that. Okay. So we've done our research. We've prepped our stories. Now what?
Now it's time to think about those classic interview questions that everyone dreads.
Oh, yeah. Like, tell me about yourself.
Why are you interested in this role?
What are your weaknesses?
Yeah. Those ones can be tough, but they're also a really great opportunity to showcase your personality and your passion.
Okay. How so?
So tell me about yourself, don't just give them a chronological rundown of your resume.
Yeah.
Think about what aspects of your background and experience are most relevant to the job and highlight those.
Okay.
You can also talk about your interests and hobbies outside of work, to give them a sense of who you are as a person.
So like if you're applying for a job at a tech company and you're really into building computers in your free time, that's definitely something you should mention.
Exactly. And then for why are you interested in this role? This is your chance to really show that you've done your research and you understand what the company's all about.
Okay.
Talk about what excites you about the role, how it aligns with your skills and experience, and your long-term career goals.
So basically, we want to show them that we're not just applying for any job. We're applying for this job for a reason.
Exactly, because they want to hire people who are genuinely interested in the work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. What about the dreaded, what are your weaknesses question? Any tips for that one?
Yeah, it's a tough one, but the key is to be honest and self-aware, but also to frame your weaknesses in a positive light.
Okay. So don't say, I'm a perfectionist and I work too hard.
Right. Instead, you might say something like, sometimes I can get so focused on the details that I lose sight of the bigger picture, so I'm working on delegating tasks more effectively and trusting my team members to do their jobs.
I love that. It shows that you're self-aware and you're actively working on improving yourself.
Exactly. And it shows that you're willing to learn and grow.
Okay. So we've tackled the classic questions. Is there anything else we need to prepare for?
Well, remember how we said that an interview is a two-way street?
Mm-hmm.
It's important to prepare some questions to ask the interviewer as well.
Oh, yeah. This is our chance to interview them, right? What kind of questions should we be asking?
Well, you want to ask questions that show you're genuinely interested in the role, the company, and the team.
Okay.
Avoid asking questions that you could easily find the answers to on the company's website, like, what does your company do?
That's not a good look.
Right. Instead, you could ask something like, can you describe the day-to-day responsibilities of this role? Or what are some of the biggest challenges that the team is currently facing? Or what are the opportunities for professional development and growth within the company?
I love those questions. It shows that you're thinking long-term and that you're not just looking for a job, but a career.
Right.
What about questions about salary and benefits? Is it okay to ask about those things?
Yeah, it is definitely okay to ask about those things, but I would save those questions for the end of the interview.
Yeah.
Once you've had a chance to really learn about the role and the company and you've made a good impression.
So it's not like the first thing out of our mouths when we walk in the door.
No, not exactly.
Yeah.
Focus on the opportunity first, then worry about the finer details.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've covered research, skills, questions, anything else we need to know before we walk into that interview room.
Well, let's not forget about the logistics. First impressions matter. So you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself professionally.
Right. That makes sense. So what does that actually look like?
Well, for starters, dress appropriately for the role and the company culture. Do some research beforehand. Look at their website. Look at their social media.
Yep.
Get a sense of what people are wearing, right? If it's a corporate job, you might want to wear a suit or a dress.
Yeah.
If it's a more casual startup environment, you might be able to get away with something a little bit more relaxed.
Okay. So dress for the part. What else?
And then, if it's an in-person interview, make sure you plan your route ahead of time and allow plenty of time for traffic or unexpected delays. I remember one time I was interviewing for a job that I was really excited about.
Oh no, don't tell me you were late.
I was so focused on prepping for the interview itself that I completely forgot to factor in traffic, and I ended up being 15 minutes late.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was not a good start. It worked out in the end. I got the job.
Okay.
But I definitely learned my lesson about the importance of planning ahead.
Yeah, that's so important, especially if you're in a big city where traffic can be really unpredictable. Okay. So plan the route, avoid being late. Any other logistical tips?
Well, if it's a virtual interview, make sure you have a professional background and good lighting.
Yes. The Zoom background.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just make sure it's clean and tidy and that there's nothing distracting in the background.
Yeah.
You also want to make sure that your technology is working properly. Test your internet connection, test your microphone, test your camera beforehand to avoid any technical difficulties during the interview.
Because the last thing you want is to be in the middle of answering a question and then your internet cuts out.
Exactly.
So we've talked about research, prepping our stories, coming up with questions to ask, and even making sure our Zoom background is on point. Is there anything else we can do to prepare?
Yeah. Well, all of that is great, but there's one more thing that's absolutely essential for acing your interview.
Okay.
Tell me.
Practice.
Practice. Like practicing our answers.
Exactly. It might feel a little silly at first, but trust me, the more you practice answering common interview questions out loud, the more comfortable and confident you'll feel when you're actually in the interview.
So, like, record yourself answering questions and then play it back.
Exactly. You can also do mock interviews with a friend or family member or a career counselor.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Get feedback on your answers,
Yeah.
your body language, your overall presentation. It's like rehearsing for a play, right?
Yeah.
The more you rehearse, the better you'll perform on opening night.
Exactly. Because the more you practice, the less nervous you'll be and the more confident you'll come across.
So we've done all this prep work, we walk into the interview, we feel prepared, but then those nerves start to creep in.
Yeah.
What do we do? How do we stay confident, even when we're feeling nervous?
Well, first of all, remember that it's okay to be nervous.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone gets nervous.
Exactly. Even the most experienced interviewers get nervous sometimes.
Yeah.
But there are a few things you can do to manage those nerves and project confidence.
Okay, like what?
So one thing is to focus on your breathing. Take some deep breaths before the interview to calm your nerves.
Okay.
You can also try some positive self-talk. Remind yourself of your strengths and your accomplishments.
Yeah, like I've got this.
Exactly. And visualize yourself succeeding in the interview. And then, once you're in the interview, remember to make eye contact with the interviewer, smile, and sit up straight. All those things will help you to project confidence and make a good impression.
Those are all such good tips. Okay, so we've made it through the interview. We feel good about how it went. What's the final step?
Well, don't forget to follow up with a thank you note.
Ah, yes. The thank you note, so important.
Yeah. It's a simple gesture, but it can really go a long way in showing that you're appreciative of the opportunity and that you're still interested in the role.
So what should we include in the thank you note?
Keep it brief and professional.
Okay.
Thank the interviewer for their time and for the opportunity to learn more about the role.
Right.
You can also reiterate your interest in the position and highlight one or two things that you particularly enjoyed discussing during the interview.
I love that. I really enjoyed hearing about your company's commitment to sustainability.
Exactly. Or, I'm very excited about the opportunity to work on that new product you mentioned.
So we're showing them that we were listening and that we were engaged in the conversation.
Exactly. And it helps you to stand out from the other candidates.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. From researching the company to prepping our stories to following up with a thank you note. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is the importance of confidence.
Absolutely.
Because even if we're nervous, if we walk into that interview feeling confident and prepared, it will show.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, the best interviews feel like conversations.
Yeah.
So try to relax, be yourself, and let your passion shine through.
That's such a good point. It's not an interrogation. It's a conversation.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive on how to prepare for a job interview. And good luck with your next interview.
Good luck.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to our deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking about how to speak English at restaurants.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So if you're traveling to a new country,
right,
or even if you're just trying to practice your English at a new restaurant in your own town, this is going to be a super useful episode for you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's get started.
Let's imagine that we're going out to eat.
Okay.
First things first.
Yeah.
We need to decide where to go.
Right.
How do we even ask our friends where we want to eat?
Well, you could start with something simple, like, where do you want to go for dinner?
Okay. Where do you want to go for dinner?
Yeah.
What if we want to make it a little more exciting?
Ooh, okay.
Like, where do we want to go for dinner tonight?
Exactly. Yeah. Put a little more emphasis in it.
Yeah.
You could also ask, what kind of food are you in the mood for?
What kind of food are you in the mood for?
Yeah, because that focuses more on what you're craving.
Like, I'm in the mood for pizza.
Exactly.
Or I'm craving some pasta. Exactly.
That is a good one.
And if you're feeling adventurous, you can suggest trying something new, like, have you heard about that new Thai restaurant?
Have you heard about that new Thai restaurant?
Yeah.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah.
So let's say we've decided on a restaurant. Now, for really popular places, we might need to make a reservation.
You're right, because for popular restaurants, especially on busy nights, it's a good idea to call ahead.
Okay.
And you can say something like, I'd like to make a reservation for 2, please.
I'd like to make a reservation for 2, please.
Yes.
Now, I've also heard people say book a table. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, it is. Book a table and make a reservation mean the same thing.
Gotcha.
You can use either one. Book a table is just a bit more informal.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So we've decided on the restaurant. We've made our reservation if we needed to.
Yep.
And now we're at the restaurant ready to eat.
Okay. Yeah, the exciting part.
What happens when we first walk in?
So if you have a reservation, you can just tell the host at the front, "Good evening, I have a reservation under your name."
Okay, good evening. I have a reservation under your name.
Easy.
What if we don't have a reservation?
Oh, okay.
Well, if we're just walking in.
Then you can simply say, "Hi, we'd like a table for two, please."
Okay, we'd like a table for two, please.
Or, "Is there a table available?"
Is there a table available?
You could also add a preference, like, "Is there a table available near the window?"
Ooh, I like that. Is there a table available near the window?
Nice.
Love a window seat.
Me too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they've shown us to our table,
All right.
and it's time for the most exciting part.
Yes.
The menu.
Ooh.
But sometimes those menus can be huge
It can be.
and kind of confusing.
A little overwhelming,
Yeah.
especially if there are a lot of choices.
Right. So can you break down for us what are the main parts of a typical menu?
Of course. So most menus will start with appetizers,
Okay.
also called starters.
Appetizers,
Yeah.
starters.
These are small dishes that you can share before the main course.
Ooh, appetizers.
Yes.
Those little snacks.
Yes, love those.
To get your taste buds going.
Exactly.
What comes next?
And then you've got the main course, or entrees.
Okay.
This is the heart of the meal.
Main course.
Yes.
Entrees.
This is where you'll find the main dishes like pasta steak or chicken.
Ah, yes, the heart of the meal.
Exactly.
What about after the main course?
Well, I think we all know what comes next.
I have a feeling I know.
It's dessert.
Desserts.
Sweet treats to enjoy at the end.
Now you're speaking my language.
Of course, gotta have that dessert.
And finally.
And finally, you'll find beverages.
Yeah.
This includes drinks like water, soda, juice, and sometimes alcoholic drinks like beer and wine.
Beverages.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got appetizers, main courses, desserts, and beverages.
That's the typical menu.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Now imagine we're looking at this big menu
Okay.
with all these choices.
Right.
What are some things we can ask the waiter
Yeah.
if we're feeling a little overwhelmed?
Sure.
Or if we just need a little more information?
Well, don't be shy about asking questions. You can always ask for recommendations.
Okay.
You could say something like, "What do you recommend?"
Okay, what do you recommend?
Or even, "What is your favorite dish?"
Ooh, what is your favorite dish?
Yeah. Put him on the spot.
I love asking for recommendations.
Me too.
Because you can discover some hidden gems that way.
Exactly. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You could also ask about today's special.
Ooh, today's special.
Yes, the special is a dish that the chef makes fresh that day that might not be on the regular menu.
Okay.
So you could ask, "What is today's special?"
What is today's special?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And what if we have dietary restrictions?
That's a good point. A lot of people do have dietary restrictions these days.
Right.
So you could ask specific questions about the ingredients, like, "Is this dish spicy?"
Okay. Is this dish spicy?
Or if you have an allergy, you could say, "Does this contain nuts?"
Does this contain nuts?
Yeah.
That's so important.
It is always better to be safe than sorry.
Yes. Especially when it comes to food allergies.
Sure.
Okay. So we've asked our questions.
Yeah.
We've made our choices.
All right.
And now it's the moment of truth.
Uh-huh.
Time to order.
Here we go.
Now, sometimes this part can feel a little nerve-wracking.
It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Right, yeah.
Keep it simple. Just say, "I'd like to order the name of a dish."
Like, I'd like to order the spaghetti carbonara, please.
Exactly like that. And remember, it's always polite to say please and thank you.
Always.
Yes.
Good manners go a long way.
They do.
And don't forget to specify
Oh, yes.
how you want your food cooked.
Especially if you're ordering something like steak.
Right.
You can say, "Can I have the steak medium rare, please?"
Can I have the steak medium rare, please?
Yeah.
That's important.
It is. I actually once had a friend who she forgot to say how she wanted her steak cooked.
Long.
And it came out well done when she really wanted it medium rare.
Oh,
And
man.
she was not too happy.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Speaking of reminders, if you're ordering a drink,
Uh-huh.
don't forget to specify what kind you want. Like,
Right.
I'd like a glass of water, please.
Yes.
Or, can I have a Coke, please?
Exactly.
And if we're not sure what kind of drinks they have,
Ooh, good point.
we can just ask,
Yeah.
what kind of drinks do you have?
Perfect.
So we've covered deciding where to eat,
Uh-huh.
making a reservation,
Yes.
understanding the menu,
We did it.
and ordering our food.
We're off to a great start.
We are.
I'm hungry.
Me too.
Yeah. But our restaurant adventure isn't over yet.
That's right.
More.
What happens when the food arrives and you need something during your meal?
Ooh, good point.
Like,
Yeah.
what if you need more water or extra napkins
Uh-huh.
or even a fork? What should we do?
Well, in those situations, you just want to remember to be polite and clear.
Okay.
So you could simply say, excuse me, could we get some more water, please?
Okay. Excuse me, can we get some more water, please?
Or could we have some extra napkins, please?
Could we have some extra napkins, please?
Yes, always remember your pleases and thank yous.
Yes. Good manners go a long way.
I really do.
Now, what if something isn't right?
Uh-oh.
Like you ordered a salad,
Okay.
but got soup instead.
Oh, no.
Or maybe you ordered your steak medium rare,
Ah.
but it came out well done.
Oh, dear.
How do we handle that?
Mistakes happen sometimes. So it's important to know how to address it politely, but also assertively.
Okay.
You can say, excuse me, I think there's a mistake with my order. I ordered the salad, but I got the soup instead.
Okay. Excuse me, I think there's a mistake with my order.
Uh-huh.
I ordered the salad, but I got the soup instead.
Yes, exactly.
What about if it's how the food is cooked?
You could say, excuse me, I ordered my steak medium rare, but it seems to be well done.
Excuse me. I ordered my steak medium rare, but it seems to be well done.
Yeah.
Perfect. And hopefully most restaurants will want to fix that mistake so you can enjoy your meal.
Absolutely. They want you to have a good experience.
Right. Okay, so what if everything is perfect?
Ah.
The food is delicious. The service is great.
Uh-huh.
How do we express our happiness to our waiter or waitress?
Simple compliments are always appreciated. You could say, this is delicious.
Okay, this is delicious.
Or the food is amazing.
The food is amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Simple and effective.
Yeah. And I bet that makes the staff feel good too.
I think so. Everyone likes to hear positive feedback.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, let's fast forward to the end of the meal.
Okay.
We've enjoyed our food. We've had great conversations.
Yeah.
And now
We're ready.
we're ready to pay the bill.
The dreaded bill.
What's the best way to let the waiter know that we're ready?
There are a couple ways you can do this. You can say, excuse me, can we get the check, please?
Excuse me, can we get the check, please?
Or, could you bring the bill, please?
Could you bring the bill, please?
Yeah, either one works.
Perfect. And if we're with a group and want to split the bill,
yes.
How do we say that?
You can simply say, can we split the bill, please?
Okay. Can we split the bill, please?
Or if you want to be really specific and pay individually, you could say, we'd like to pay separately.
We'd like to pay separately.
Yeah.
Got it.
Easy.
So we've covered how to ask for things during the meal.
We did.
How to handle a mistake with our order.
Yes.
How to compliment the food.
Mm-hmm.
And how to ask for the check.
We really covered it all.
We're doing great.
Almost there. Yeah, but there are always those extra situations that come up at a restaurant that you might not think about.
Yeah, what if we have dietary restrictions?
Ooh, good one. Yeah, a lot of people have specific dietary needs these days, so restaurants are getting pretty good at accommodating them.
Okay.
It's always best to just be upfront about any restrictions when you order.
Okay, so how would we tell the waiter that we're vegetarian, for example?
You can just say, I'm vegetarian.
I'm vegetarian.
Or if you're vegan, you'd say, I'm vegan.
Okay, I'm vegan.
It's straightforward and clear.
What if we have allergies?
Yes. Allergies are very important to let your server know about.
Right.
If you have a food allergy, you should always tell the waiter, and you can say, I'm allergic to peanuts.
I'm allergic to peanuts.
Or I have a gluten allergy.
I have a gluten allergy. Perfect.
Yeah.
And what if we're in a hurry?
Okay.
And need to get our food to go?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what if we just want to grab a quick lunch and then eat it back at the office?
In that case, you can just let them know when you order and say, I'd like to order this to go.
I'd like to order this to go.
Or, can I get this as takeaway, please?
Can I get this as takeaway, please?
Yeah, either one works.
Okay, so we've covered dietary restrictions ordering to go.
Mm-hmm.
What about those awkward situations?
Oh, yeah. Like when there's a problem, but you don't want to cause a scene.
Right.
It's all about finding that balance between being assertive, but also polite.
Right.
If there's a problem, you can start by politely getting your waiter's attention.
Okay.
You could say something like, excuse me, there seems to be a problem with my order.
Okay. Excuse me, there seems to be a problem with my order.
Right. And then explain the issue clearly and calmly.
Gotcha.
So, for example, you might say, I ordered the chicken salad, but I received the tuna salad.
Okay. I ordered the chicken salad, but I received the tuna salad.
Or this soup is cold.
The soup is cold.
Right.
Now, what's so fascinating about this is that all of these phrases are really useful even outside of a restaurant.
You're right.
Like being able to communicate politely but effectively when something's wrong is valuable no matter where you are.
Absolutely. These communication skills are transferable to so many areas of life.
Exactly.
It's not just about the food.
It's not just about the food, it's about life.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We went from deciding where to eat all the way to handling those tricky situations.
We did it.
What's the main takeaway for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that speaking English at a restaurant doesn't have to be intimidating.
Right.
With a little practice, you can confidently navigate all sorts of situations.
And remember, it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes.
Everyone does.
Everyone makes mistakes.
The important thing is to keep practicing.
Exactly. Keep using the language.
And using the language.
The more you use it, the better you'll get.
So next time you're heading out to a restaurant, remember all the phrases and tips we've talked about today.
You got this.
You got this.
Have fun and enjoy your meal.
Bon appetit, everyone. Okay, so let's say you have a big job interview coming up.
Yeah.
For a job you really want.
Right.
So you're excited, but maybe a little nervous too.
Of course, that's totally natural.
Right.
Interviews can be nerve-wracking.
Uh-huh.
But remember, good preparation can make all the difference.
It really can.
It helps you feel more confident, and it increases your chances of success.
So true, and that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today.
That's right.
To help you get ready for that interview and really shine.
Yeah.
We've got some fantastic advice from a source that breaks down the whole process step by step.
Step by step.
So, to start off,
this
source emphasizes something that might seem really obvious.
Okay.
But it often gets overlooked.
And that is?
Research.
Research, yes.
So you mean like researching the company?
Yes, but it goes beyond just the company.
Okay.
Research the company, of course, but also dig into the specific job you're applying for.
Okay.
And even look at broader industry trends.
Got it. So it's like you wouldn't walk into a meeting unprepared.
Right.
So why go into an interview without doing your homework?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
And thorough research
Yeah.
shows the interviewer that you're genuinely interested.
That's true.
And it also lets you tailor your answers to their specific needs, which is a powerful strategy that we'll come back to later.
I like where this is going.
Yeah.
Tailor-made answers for the win.
That's right.
Okay, but before we get too deep into that, our source brings up something that can really trip people up.
And that is
the interview format.
The format,
Because interviews aren't all the same.
Right, they're not.
Some are one-on-one, some are panel interviews with multiple people.
Yes.
And some might even involve technical tests or tasks.
It's true.
You know, I actually learned that the hard way.
Oh, really?
I went to an interview expecting a casual chat.
Okay.
And they surprised me with a group activity.
Where we had to build a tower out of straws and tape.
Oh my...
Talk about being caught off guard.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Right.
Of why knowing the format is so important.
Absolutely.
Imagine if you had known about that activity beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
You could have mentally prepared.
Definitely.
And even practiced some team building skills.
Totally. So knowing what to expect
helps
you stay calm.
Right.
And focus on showcasing your abilities instead of being thrown off by the unexpected.
Precisely.
Now, once you've researched the company, understand the format, it's time to tackle the part that most people dread.
I know what's coming.
The interview questions.
The questions!
Our source really digs into how to handle some of those classic questions.
Okay.
That seem to pop up in almost every interview. Like, tell me about yourself.
Right.
Which, by the way, is not an invitation to recite your entire life story.
It's not your whole autobiography.
Right. Keep it concise.
Yes.
Focus on your professional journey and highlight the skills and experience that are most relevant to the job.
So it's about connecting your story to their needs.
Right from the start.
Right from the start.
Another common question is, why do you want this job?
Oh, that's a good one.
And this is where your research really pays off.
It does.
Because you can connect your answer to the company's mission, specific projects they're working on, or even those industry trends you've been following.
Exactly.
It's like saying, I've done my homework. I understand what you're all about, and I'm here because I genuinely want to be a part of it.
That's a great way to put it.
And then, of course, there's the dreaded strengths and weaknesses question.
Oh, yeah.
Which tends to trip people up.
I hate that one.
Any advice on how to handle that one?
Sure.
Without, sounding like you're bragging or putting yourself down.
Well, honesty is key.
Okay.
But it's all about how you frame it.
Okay.
When discussing weaknesses, present them as areas you're actively working to improve. And for strength, make sure they align with what the job requires.
Okay.
And back them up with concrete examples.
Concrete examples, I like that.
Yeah.
Our source also mentioned something called the STAR method.
The STAR method.
For tackling behavioral questions.
Okay.
Those questions that ask you to describe a time you did something specific.
Like, give me an example.
Like, can you describe a challenge you faced at work and how you overcame it?
Okay, yeah.
So the STAR method helps you tell a clear and compelling story by breaking it down.
Okay.
You break down the situation, the task, the action you took, and the result.
Got it. So the STAR method.
Exactly.
So let's say an interviewer asks, can you describe a challenge you faced at work and how you overcame it?
Perfect example.
What would a really impressive STAR method answer look like?
Okay, well, first you choose a situation that was genuinely challenging, but also relevant to the job you're applying for. So it could be a time you had to meet a tight deadline, navigate a conflict within a team, or solve a complex problem.
So not just any old challenge, but one that showcases the skills they're actually looking for, and then you walk them through the steps you took to address the challenge, emphasizing your skills and initiative.
Got it.
And most importantly, describe the positive results you achieved.
Instead of just saying, I solved the problem, you're giving them a vivid picture of your capabilities.
You're showing, not just telling.
I like that.
Now, we've talked a lot about answering questions.
We have.
But our source emphasizes that an interview is a two-way street.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't just be passively answering questions. We should be asking them too.
Absolutely. Asking insightful questions is just as important as giving good answers.
Wow. Okay.
It shows initiative, genuine interest, and that you're thinking beyond just getting the job.
So our source suggests focusing on questions that reveal company culture and opportunities for growth.
I like that.
Like, what does success look like in this role? Or can you describe the team I would be working with?
Those are excellent examples.
Right.
Yeah, they show you're thinking long-term and envisioning yourself as part of their team.
It's all about finding the right fit, not just any job.
Right.
And speaking of fit, this brings us back to that key theme our source mentioned earlier.
Which was?
Tailoring.
Tailoring.
So tailoring is where you connect your skills and experiences to the specific requirements of the job.
Exactly. It's like taking all the great things about you and presenting them in a way that directly addresses their needs.
So it's not just about listing your skills, but showing how those skills have been used to achieve results in the past. Specifically in ways that are relevant to this job.
Exactly. Don't just say, I'm a team player. Talk about a specific project where you collaborated effectively to achieve a common goal. Don't just say, I'm great at problem solving. Describe a time you identified a problem, analyzed it, and implemented a solution that led to a positive outcome.
So it's like saying, here's how I can contribute to your success based on my proven track record.
Precisely.
And this tailoring mindset applies to your resume and LinkedIn profile as well.
It does.
Make sure they're telling a consistent story and highlighting the experiences that are most relevant to this particular opportunity.
So you're creating a cohesive narrative from your research to your answers to your resume that showcases why you're the perfect fit for this specific role.
You want them to walk away thinking, this person gets it, they understand what we need, and they have what it takes to succeed here.
That's the goal.
Okay, so we've covered research, interview formats, nailing those common questions, and tailoring our responses to make a strong impression. But there's more to interview prep than just the Q&A, right?
Absolutely. Preparation goes beyond just practicing answers.
Like what?
It's about presenting yourself professionally in all aspects of the interview.
Which means things like paying attention to body language, making eye contact, sitting up straight, projecting confidence.
All of those things matter.
Yeah.
Even small details, like a firm handshake, can make a difference.
It's true.
And of course, arriving on time is non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
It shows respect for their time and demonstrates professionalism.
And we can't forget about virtual interviews.
That's right.
Which are becoming more and more common.
They are.
Our source has some great tips for those as well.
Like what?
Well, for example, testing your technology beforehand is crucial.
It is, yeah.
You don't want any microphone glitches or internet dropouts during the interview.
Definitely not.
And even though it's virtual, You still want to dress professionally.
Yep.
And choose a clean, uncluttered background.
It's all about creating a professional and distraction-free environment so
Yeah.
you can focus on the conversation.
And speaking of ending on a positive note,
Okay.
our source emphasizes the importance of following up after the interview.
The follow-up, yes.
The thank you note.
Thank you note.
A classic move that never goes out of style.
It's more than just a polite gesture.
Okay.
A well-crafted thank you email reinforces your interests and allows you to reiterate key points from the conversation
Okay.
or even address any questions that might have come up.
So it's like that final touch that shows you're truly invested in the opportunity.
Exactly. It leaves them with a positive, lasting impression
Yeah.
of your professionalism and enthusiasm.
So to sum up this first part of our deep dive,
Yes.
we've talked about doing your research, understanding different interview formats,
Yep.
tackling those common questions, tailoring your responses, and even mastering the art of the virtual interview.
It might seem like a lot to think about.
It
But
is.
remember,
Yeah.
the goal of preparation isn't to memorize answers or become a robotic interview machine.
Right.
It's about building confidence.
Confidence, that's it.
Yeah.
And that confidence comes from knowing you've done your homework,
Yes.
you're prepared to showcase your skills, and you're genuinely excited about the opportunity.
Because when you're confident,
Yeah.
you can relax, be yourself,
Mhm.
and let your personality shine through.
It's true.
And that's what truly makes a lasting impression.
So before we move on to the next part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave you with this thought-provoking question.
What's that?
What's one thing from today's discussion that you'll focus on for your next interview?
Because even small improvements in your preparation
Yes.
can make a big difference in your outcome.
Absolutely, you've got that.
You got this. So we talked about how preparing thoroughly is crucial for acing those job interviews.
Confident mindset,
Right.
and remembering that the interview is a two-way street.
It's a lot,
I bet.
but there's one more crucial aspect of interview prep that we haven't covered yet,
Which is?
the logistics.
Ah, yes, the practical details.
Yeah.
That can sometimes make or break the interview experience.
Our source provides some helpful reminders about things like planning your outfit,
Okay.
gathering your materials, and managing your time effectively.
Okay, let's start with the outfit.
Right.
What's the golden rule for interview attire?
The general advice is to dress professionally
Okay.
and appropriately for the company culture.
So a suit and tie might be overkill for a startup with a casual vibe.
Exactly. It's always wise to research the company's dress code beforehand.
Got it.
When in doubt,
Yeah.
err on the side of formality.
Makes